level, so that the person who registers and the person who registers that person will be caught? Is there a way to know for sure that those will be caught? And then the next level, which you call beyond first base, the actual voting fraud will also be caught. You guarantee that with the systems that you're putting in place as of today, that those will all be caught?
Well, when you use the all and the never, you know what Ronald Reagan used to say, never say never. Keep leaving quoting. But when you look at the history of voting, elections have never been perfect, but we have the tools and the safeguards and the resources needed to assure the 8.2 million registered voters here in the state of Ohio that this will be an election with integrity.
As a practical matter, though, counties are going to get access to the database or the list or whatever 15 days out, perhaps dealing with hundreds, maybe thousands of mismatches. Number one, isn't there an issue of practicality whether those can be checked before the election? And number two, aren't we going to have perhaps 88 different scenarios, since you're not telling them what to do, what not to do? Do we risk straying into Bush v. Gore territory, where voters are treated unequally and thus subject to an unconstitutional election?
No, because the foundation of this is that the mismatches are not permitted by federal law to be used to determine voter eligibility. What we're looking at is if the county has a particular issue with a voter. Let's say this is a voter who appears to vote, to register and vote during the 5 to 7 day window, and they have questions about that voter's eligibility. They would be able to already pull up that voter's name after it's been entered in the voter database and look to see whether the matching has actually occurred yet. It may not have because of the closure of the Social Security Administration. But if they wanted to check it another way and say, well, I don't see anything here, let me look at it this way, it gives them another alternative to do that.
Now, what you're saying, you just want to step beyond what I thought you had said all along, that HAVA doesn't require to go after voter. Now you're saying HAVA forbids these mismatches from being used to determine voter eligibility?
Yes.
So what are counties, again, I'm just trying to be real practical, what are counties supposed to do when they see a mismatch? They're not allowed under federal law to determine if this voter is eligible or not?
No. I mean, that is not the basis for determining eligibility. They are supposed to contact that voter. You know, in the rural counties you may get it by phone, but in the actually it's best if it's done by mail, and ask the voter to explain what the discrepancy may be. Compare this to the 60-day notices that were contained in House Bill 3, and again, whether or not a non-forwardable notice to a voter comes back to the Board of Elections may be dependent upon entirely third-party factors that have nothing to do with the relationship between the voter and the Board of Elections. It could be something with the post office. It could be that the voter has decided to forward their mail for the purposes of a temporary period of time, or it could be an error in data entry in actually entering that information to mail that notice. You can kind of analogize these two situations where the 60-day notice allows the Board of Elections to try to clean up its records a bit, as well as the match with the Social Security Administration and the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. But as I said before, I'm not really sure what was in the mind of Congress, because if I were a Board of Elections, I would say, well, if there's no real end result to my checking this, except it's going to make my list cleaner and shinier, why are they making me do this? But it's there, so we have to do it.
If there's a discrepancy, the voter cannot be disqualified. Can the Board of Election pursue it further than the mismatch? If the
correct. The board, if the board sees a mismatch and the board starts to pursue it, the board may uncover other information, but just alone on the mismatch, it's insufficient. Correct.
But the board you would encourage the board to go further if there was a discrepancy that couldn't be rectified or explained.
We would encourage the board to try to resolve the discrepancy.
What if they can't? There is a discrepancy. The voter's not who he or she appears to be on the form because of information that's not consistent.
When that voter appears on election day to vote, they're gonna have to show their driver's license, or a military ID, or a state-issued ID, or a utility bill, or a bank statement, or other government document, or a paycheck that shows their name and their address. The only types of ID that do not require the address to be correct is the driver's license, the state-issued ID, and the military ID. Other than that, any of those other documents have to show a name and address that conform to what's in the poll list at the Board of Elections. So the voter ID, which we require of every voter, even if there is a match, is sort of the bottom safety net. Once we've got all these other safety nets to prevent voter registration fraud and illegal voting, but the voter ID is then the last safety net that ensures that only people who are eligible to vote in that precinct are able to vote. You can have people who are registered voters and who are eligible to vote, but they may have moved and they may be trying to go back to their old precinct to vote. When they show their ID that it's in some other location, then what they are instructed to do is to, if they've moved from one county to another county, to go to the Board of Elections and vote provisionally, or if they've moved within the county, to go to the new place, the new polling place that's where their residence is assigned to, fill out a new registration form, and vote provisionally there, and their vote should be counted.
Do you think that the number of lawsuits that have been filed against you by the Republican Party or their agents has eroded voter confidence and poses a threat to voters feeling confident the election will be carried out fairly and in a safe way?
I think it's had an impact.
How much?
That remains to be seen. Because I think, again, I think when voters are confident, they vote in record numbers. Because if you think of Election Day as a way for people to express their opinions, if they think they're not going to be listened to, they probably won't express them.
Do you think the lawsuits were filed for that reason, as opposed to the reasons that the Republicans have said that you were, circumventing common sense solutions to things?
Well, I think in some situations there was a genuine disagreement about how the law should be applied. Oftentimes they have referred to it as the Secretary of State's interpretation, and it really is